Andy will lead us in the pledge, and Kevin invitation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this time together to do what's best for our students, staff, and faculty. Please help us make the best decisions possible. Please help us make wise votes. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And we'll appoint Beth as our executive secretary. Roll call, Adam.
Present.
Andy.
Present.
Kevin.
Present.
Terry.
Present.
Let the record reflect all 5 board members are present, and we do have a quorum. Since our last regular meeting, we've had 2 condolences that I've been made aware of. Stacy Wright, a Borden Elementary teacher, her mother passed away. And then this weekend, Julian and Nathan Magianis, their dad passed away. And they are coaches at Borden. So at this time, please join me in a moment of silence in remembering these families. Thank you. Emergency additions, Dr. Comer?
I would ask the board to consider the following personnel as last minute or emergency additions to tonight's agenda. 4D1, which would be a HES 5th grade math teacher temporary position. 4F4, part-time cafeteria position at Henryville. 4F5, daycare worker at Henryville Elementary. 4I1, Henryville Winter Guard sponsor. And 4J1, which is the approval to post a part-time office assistant at HES.
Hey, you've heard the recommendations for emergency additions. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Kevin, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Andy, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Recognitions, are you aware?
None, just we're full swing in winter sports and wish all those teams the best of luck. And the band concert was terrific here at Henryville. The Christmas concert was great. So thanks to all those kids and sponsors for an excellent concert for Christmas.
Thank you. Okay, next we have a presentation. George?
I believe you all should have received a copy of what we'll be talking about here tonight, but on December 4th, we took bids for the Borden-Henryville Fieldhouse additions and the new construction there, which included fieldhouse there at Henryville, along with the parking lot where the old tennis courts are, the fieldhouse at Borden, along with the locker room facility there at the track. Were all included in this project. We received 6 different competitive bids on that, and tonight we're here to make a recommendation on the award. We've checked Cutter Construction here from here locally. Didn't realize that that's where they were stationed at, but they were the low bidder. We've gone over the scope with them to confirm that they were comfortable with their bid, and they felt like they covered the scope, which they acknowledged that they did. So tonight we're here to recommend that the contract be awarded to the low bidder, Cutter Construction, in the amounts of base bid of $10,869,700. And additionally, we recommend awarding alternate number 1. That's the additional floor court at the Borden project for $1,084,500. And then also alternate number 2, which deals with the drainage issue at the bus facility over there at Borden. Hopefully it gets rid of the flooding that occurs there on a regular basis, in addition for $33,800 to make a total award of $11,988,000. And with that, we will have enough money left over to do the renovations that we talked about at Borden and Henryville, with the science labs, turning the wrestling room into the weight room, and then the STEM Project Lead the Way space here at Henryville. next round of projects that I'll be in front of you to award at some point in time in the future.
Does the board have any questions?
So on the alternate, that can be adjusted later if needed?
So the alternates are held for 60 days from the time of bid, so from December 4th, 60 days moving forward, you can move on those, award them at any point in time during that 60 days without a potential change in price. So if you didn't want to act on the alternate tonight, you could table it and hold it for the next board meeting.
If, just out of curiosity, if they would approve tonight, can they reverse their decision within 60 days?
Here's what I'd say, is that if you have any hesitation about it, I would recommend waiting to the next board meeting, because if you approve everything tonight, the next thing I'm gonna do is give the notice to proceed to the contractor, and they're gonna start doing some things. They're gonna start getting some shop drawings or subcontracts done, and that would be harder to undo than to table it and award it 30 days from now. So that's what my recommendation would be to the board. Because I don't want to say you wouldn't incur some costs in the next.
Yes, sir. I was just asking.
No,
if that came
good
up.
question, good question.
Do you have any questions?
I don't have it.
Kevin, you have any questions? Any more questions?
If you've got time, we had an update meeting today. Could you just kind of hit some
Oh, yeah.
highlights from the update meeting today for the board?
Okay, so let's see, if you haven't been on the job sites, which I would like to talk about, you guys start thinking about maybe doing a board tour sometime in the next month or two to tour the different job sites. At Henryville, got the turf down at the football field and at the softball field. We've unfortunately run out of some good weather, so we're really waiting for another window of opportunity to finish those up. In the next couple of weeks, you'll start seeing the press box there at the softball complex come up. They'll finish up the fencing around the tennis courts. Those will be temporarily striped for the next season, because we ran out of weather to put the final surface on there. So we'll temporarily stripe those, and then they'll come and do the final surfacing once the season's over on that. So you'll start seeing the press box come up out of the ground, concrete work around that, some underground work happening there. At Borden, they're digging the foundations today for the dugouts and the press box and the backstop. They hope to pour that on Monday, so you'll start seeing that come up out of the ground over the next month. Those are probably the big developments that are going on there now. Right now, we're just kind of fighting weather, getting done what we can get done.
And just to remind the board, with tennis courts at Henryville, there will be the temporary striping placed down, and then once the season is over,
Yes,
they'll come back in and put the permanent striping down.
permanent surface.
I'm sorry, permanent surface down.
That includes the striping.
Yeah. Once season's over. Okay. And I think Tabor Owens is happy with their progress and seems to be on track.
They're doing everything they can to, obviously get the 2 softball fields up and ready.
Right.
For the next season.
Okay. Board, any specific questions for Mr. Link?
This next round of projects, my gut tells me is you're gonna see the old tennis courts getting wrecked out first, because we've instructed them, we have to get the parking established first before we can take over the parking at Henryville. So you'll probably see that work going on, as well as the Borden site starting, because that's a freestanding kind of standalone area, so that'll probably, that building will start sooner than the building at Henryville will. Because we just don't, we can't take over more parking until we have more parking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Make sure
George
you eat
George
chocolates.
brought me chocolates that he said to not share with the board.
That is not what I said. I didn't leave them with you 3 weeks ago,
They're
because I was
pretty
worried
great.
they'd never make it.
Yeah, they would not have made it. They would not have made it at all. George, thanks as always.
Thank
Can't thank you enough for the support you give this district and the work you do, and it's noticed and greatly appreciated, sir. Very much. Thank you.
I will point out that the bid that we received on this was very similar, probably within plus or minus couple $100,000 of the bid we received for the field house we did in Mitchell, one field house,
Yeah.
back 5 years ago. So we feel like you're getting really good value here.
And just remember, this is just to make sure the board, and I'm sure you do, it's for field house at Henryville, field house at Borden, and then a separate building by the track of additional locker room, restroom space,
Concessions.
and concessions at the track. And parking.
Yeah.
And parking, yeah.
Beth, did we have anyone sign up for community input?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, please.
Yeah, just a couple things. Continue to speak with different folks.
Maybe for anything
Mr. Link,
else?
thanks so much. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas.
George.
You guys have a
Thanks,
good
George.
one. Thank you.
Continue to talk with different staff members on a couple different items. Hopefully within the next few months, have a recommendation to the board in regard to the R&R policy and procedures and any modifications or adjustments that may be made to that. And also had some really constructive talks recently about PLCs as well, about maybe kind of tweaking those just a little bit too and seeing if that can be more efficient for the teachers and better results for the students. Also want to make sure the board is aware at the January regular session, I hopefully will be presenting a school calendar for the 26-27 year. And by that time, I would have met multiple times with the BHTA to get their input on a possible date. The way it's looking, it's going to look very, very similar to our current 25-26 school year calendar, just dates and time, dates adjusted to meet how days fall during the week and on the calendar. So I'm not seeing anything drastic this panel on, so don't expect that, I don't think.
Thank you. Consent agenda, please.
Consent agenda, I'd like to present to the board for approval as presented, items 1 through 3 and 5 through 8. Under personnel items, 4D1, I'd like to recommend Brittany McDowell as the HES 5th grade math teacher temporary for the remainder of the school year. Under 4F1, Tanya Kays Wilson as BHS custodian. 4F2, Marina Ray, BES instructional paraprofessional. 4F3, CDL driver trainer, Doc Nash. And then remember, I'm kind of adding in those that you approved to add on earlier. 4F4, Alicia Smith, part-time cafeteria at Henryville. 4F5, Natasha Nokera as daycare worker at HES. Under 4H1, Jessica Adderley, sub-teacher. H2, Amanda Zayapus as sub-teacher. H3, Abby Walker, sub-teacher. H4, Andy Spicer, sub-ECA bus driver. H5, Roger Bodorf, sub-white bus driver. H6, Donna Botorf, sub-white bus driver. H7, Jeremy Andres, sub-white bus driver. Under 4I1, Joy Reynolds, Henryville Winter Guard. And 4J1 is the approval to post a part-time office assistant at Henryville Elementary. And that is your consent agenda.
You have heard the consent agenda and the recommendations. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Kevin, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Andy? Discussion?
Do I need to, we don't need, do we need to abstain from our donation? No, okay, right.
No, because you're not personally benefiting your personal.
All right.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Board discussion, action item, item 1, please.
Item 1, approval of Fieldhouse bid packet. Ms. Powell, I don't know how the board might want to proceed with this vote. If they want to just do one vote for Mr. Link's recommendations of the base bid and alternate number 1 and alternate number 2, or if they want to do 3 separate votes on base bid and then a vote for alternate 1 and a vote for alternate 2.
How does the board wish to proceed, collectively or individually?
I would recommend individually. I think it maybe takes a couple extra votes, but you get to the same place. But it's up to the board. I serve at the pleasure.
So on the alternate, do we even have to vote on it? Alternate 1?
If that's, no, if I would recommend the base bid, and then there would vote on the base bid, And then if I recommended alternate 1, the board could vote to either proceed with a vote or vote to table that specific item. And then I could present alternate 2, and the board could do the
Same.
same as they did with alternate 1. Is that how you want me
That's
to
fine.
do it? Okay, so Beth, so there'll be 3
Okay.
separate votes, okay? So I would like to recommend and take into consideration the advice of Mr. Link, the base bid from Cutter Construction for $10,869,700.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I like that motion.
Terry, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Adam? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Alternate 1.
Alternate 1, just to remind everyone, that is to construct the second gymnasium floor at the Borden Junior Senior High School as indicated in the drawings, which would be in the field house. And alternate number 1 that Mr. Link would recommend that I would support was also from Cutter in the amount of $1,084,500.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to table that.
Well, we don't have to do that if nobody makes a motion to approve it. Okay? Motion dies for lack of a item dies because of lack of a motion and a second.
And I think just to remind the board, as Mr. Link said, in case anybody missed it, there is 60 days. If the board would want to reconsider that, they have 60 days at that locked-in price by Cutter to do that. So that would put us, I believe it's February 4th. I think you would have until February 4th to make that, if you wanted to bring that back to look at.
Okay, alternate 2.
Alternate number 2, which to remind everyone is to provide price to add trench drain in front of the maintenance building as indicated in the drawings. And that alternate 2 was in the amount of $33,800.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Andy, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Kevin? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 2, please.
Item 2, approval of hybrid elementary high school treasurer position. This position basically comes from, we had a retirement of the Henryville Elementary treasurer, and we feel after talking with different stakeholders that we could combine both the high school and elementary treasurer positions at the high school. And there would be, if approved, I would bring to you a candidate, obviously, and there would be a price adjustment because it would be extra duties and responsibilities, but we think it not only could be a cost savings to the district, but also would make it much more efficient in terms of having one treasurer do both buildings.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Kevin, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Terry, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 3, please.
Item 3, approval of agreement with Wellstone. This agreement will allow Wellstone to provide BHSC students with on-site mobile assessment with guardian permission, obviously. It would be removing transportation and time barriers for our families, and this service would be at no additional cost to the district.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Andy, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Kevin, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 4, please.
Item 4, approval to deem IT items obsolete, and there was a list of those IT items included in your board packet. Again, all from the IT department.
You've heard the recommendation and saw the list. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Kevin, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Adam, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 5, please.
Item 5, approval to adopt the Bean Stack program at Borden Elementary School. And if the board would allow, I'll let Ms. Hurst describe that recommendation.
So BHSC is essentially something similar to Scholastic Reading Counts that we used to use for self-selected reading. It's a way to gamify reading and allow competitions and kind of a tracking system. So this is not curricular, it is students self-selected reading from like books they check out from the library. The cool thing is it also connects to the Charlestown-Clark County Library System. They use BHSC as well. So if kids are doing the summer reading program, it's kind of a cool way to translate have some consistency for the kids. And they're planning to pay for this, I believe, out of their fundraisers for the school year.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst.
You're welcome.
That's your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. What Ms. Hurst just said, I'm recommending that. Thank you.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Terry, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Kevin? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 6, please.
Item 6, approval of additional corporation bus route. This would be a corporation-owned route. It would eliminate some overcrowding on multiple Henryville routes that we currently are facing, depending on the day. Also, this would allow us to be proactive in regard to the future housing additions that are slated to start construction within the next few years in Henryville. The corporation, I believe, Ms. Torres, thanks for being here and thanks for your work on this, by the way. From my understanding, this is the time where you say, no, Dr. Cromer, that's not accurate. We have a driver potentially for that, if the board approves, and we have a bus for that as well.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Terry, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Kevin? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 7, please.
Right, and Tony, if you don't mind, since that's been approved, let's make sure once you get that set up and get going, let's make sure we give those families at least a couple weeks' notice that, that there'll be changes to their possible pickup and drop-off times, okay? Thank you, good work on that, by the way. Carrying on, good work by Mr. Torres. Number 7, approval of bus driver training reimbursement agreement. I know Tony's put in some really good work on this, and I think this is definitely going to benefit the corporation in the future for sure. But this agreement would allow reimbursement for new BHSC bus drivers at a cost of $3,000 per training. It would include the following: commercial driver's license training, passenger and school bus endorsements, pre-service and in-service training, behind-the-wheel instruction, required drug and alcohol testing and background checks, medical exam and physicals, and any associated course materials, testing field fees, and licensing fees. Failure to complete training would result in candidates fully reimbursing the district. Also, the driver, once completed, would agree to remain employed with Borden-Henryville Schools as a school bus driver for a minimum period of 2 consecutive years from the completion date of the training program. And if that was not met, they would then be responsible of paying in full, reimbursing in full the amount to the district. So I think as we face, like every other corporation, a time of driver shortages and trying to strengthen and build our corporation driver corps, I think this is good work by Tony, and I excitedly endorse this and promote it to the board, recommend it to the board.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation and saw it in our packet. I have a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Kevin, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Adam? Discussion?
So this, they'll get 3,000 every time they train somebody? Is that what you just said?
No, this would be, so if a candidate went through all the steps and brought back proof that they got their license and they had the drug testing done, took all the tests, did all the timing, they could be reimbursed their cost for that. You're thinking
Okay,
of
I'm
the
thinking
next item,
employee. Okay.
Mr. Guernsey.
Yep,
Yeah,
my bad.
you're on the right page, you're just a little bit
Okay,
early.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm always way ahead, sorry.
Yeah, you're way ahead of the game, Mr. Guernsey.
And if they were to leave for 2 years, they would repay it.
That's accurate. They would sign an agreement that would state that.
This part I like.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 8, please.
Item 8, approval of BHSC CDL training position and stipend. Again, nice work by Mr. Torres, put a lot of time into coming up with something that we may tweak in the future, but for right now, it's a really, really good model. And I know Mr. Torres looked at a number of other corporations and kind of picked and chose really good ideas and things that were working at other places to kind of mesh something that would meet our needs, or what we felt would best meet our needs. But this would include trainers will receive a stipend of $720 only after the trainee successfully passes the pre-trip, post-trip inspection and skills testing.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Terry, I heard you first. Second, Kevin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 13.
Item 13, approval of 2026 board meeting schedule. I know this is something I think has kind of been tradition over the last 3 years, and in the December, they did that. I'll kind of defer to you, Ms. Powell, on that, since it is your meetings technically, and I'm just a guest presenter at your meetings.
Okay, then the most recent one that we adjusted, meeting, where we have to have some resolutions from Carolyn's office developed, and all the different laws that we need to meet, and that has to occur before January the 15th. So the floor is open for a motion to approve the tentative 2026 board meeting schedule.
We'll make that motion.
Andy, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Kevin? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. As just mentioned, our next meeting is January the 5th. And that will be at 5:15 this first semester. Does the board have any other comments?
Yeah, can I take just a minute and comment on a couple of legislative things real quick? I don't know if you've been paying attention, but this deal up there in Indianapolis Public Schools is kind of concerning, because they were taking they're going to take the facilities, transportation, accountability away from the school board, and they're going to have it fall under a education authority over the IPS schools up there. And kind of concerning, because if they do that in Indianapolis, I think we need to keep an eye on that through the rest of the state. Pretty much takes away or cuts down the school board's authority to have much say in their local schools. So it's kind of taken away the public's opportunity to decide who they want running the school boards versus an appointed authority over the school corporations. And then some good news is, it looks like the legislator missed their House Bill 1 this year, and they're looking that a lot of them feel like they need to take a look at that, maybe this short session or at least the next session, to re-increase some of the funding that was taken away from local entities. And some of the things that's helping with that too is Medicaid costs are down, and some other costs throughout the state. And then, you know, with the housing, new construction with housing going on in our district is, you know, the last year or so we were looking at, you know, this bleak picture, but, you know, I think in a couple of years, what we survived in the past 3 or 4 years, the next couple of years, is a little bit rosier outlook for where we might be. So I think we need to keep our eye on that.
It's estimated that this section will take approximately 12 hours to complete. The actual time obviously would vary based on the trainee. Payment requires verification of training completion, documentation, and approval by the Director of Transportation. And what that means is the person that would put in the stipend, if they didn't get approved before the training started by Mr. Torres to train that person, then they would be ineligible for the stipend. So it would have to be pre-approved by Mr. Torres to start that training procedure.
So if the applicant decides after they got the training, the 12 hours of training, decides not to go through with it, would the trainer not get paid then? Am I understanding it to be that way?
Tony, I don't, does that
I
make sense?
mean, I would assume that you'd still have to pay the trainer, but they would have to reimburse us for the cost of that training. So when any cost that we incur involving that training of that driver would have to reimburse us for that.
So what about the stipend to the trainee though, to the trainer?
They would have to reimburse us for that. We'd have to calculate all that cost.
Is that in the agreement that they signed? and
Yeah, any cost
understand?
associated with their training, they would have to reimburse.
So the trainee would pay the trainer if they,
Well, we reimburse back to corporation,
Okay.
because the corporation would have
Okay.
paid let's say Beth Thompson was the trainer.
but she'd get paid anyway. The trainee that backed out or didn't get certified would reimburse us
The
back.
corporation, correct. Yeah, because I see what you're saying. If Beth was, I'm picking on you, Beth, because you're right in front. If Beth was the trainer and she trained me, and then I passed everything, and then a week or two later I said, I don't want to do this anymore, I didn't want to do it, that's not Beth's.
Right.
Beth already put in the time
Okay.
and the effort, so Beth should get paid. It'd be on me then, because I broke according to number 7 that was approved by the corporation, I broke that agreement.
I understand.
Does that include training of coaches too?
No,
No,
we're working on another little program for that.
there's another program for that?
Yeah, a little small, because in the coaches, you don't have to have a CDL driver trainer to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
CDL, big yellow bus
Yeah.
driver.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Terry, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Andy,
Excuse me.
discussion, any further? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 9, please.
Item 9, approval for the Series 2025 bond arbitrage agreement with Ice Miller. And this is basically, in a nutshell, what it's asking. It is a requirement that we follow, submitted by the IRS, which says that within 5 years, there has to be a review of the bond to make sure this allows for, make sure if we need to increase or decrease the spending in that bond. What Ice Miller is asking, instead of waiting for the 5 years, let's do it in 2 instead of the 5, because what we don't want is to wait too many years and find out we either need to back off the spending or increase it. That puts us right at the deadline. This would ask that we do it 3 years prior to, that if we need to make adjustments, it's much better to do the adjustments year 2 than it would year 5.
Would we
Carolyn?
still have to do a year 5?
That I don't know, but I do know that by doing it at year 2, Ice Miller wants to do that so that they know whether to increase or decrease spending over the next 3 years, so that, because the IRS is owed a rebate at that 5 years, you want to potentially minimize the amount that you pay back to them by increasing your spending to the extent that you are allowed to. I don't know whether you need to do it again at the 5 year.
Yeah, it's not very clear in here what it says.
I would assume only if you didn't act on it at year 2.
I kind of read it, it has to be done within the 5-year period. So if you don't do it, the IRS is saying come the end of it at 5 years, they're going to do it, or somebody's going to do it at that year, at that 5 year. I think Ice Miller, by saying let's do it at 2, I think meets the requirements set forth by the IRS, that it falls within that 5-year span.
Well, and I think what happens at year 5 is you get a notice from the IRS saying, all right, and this is how much you owe us now.
Right.
So this is Ice Miller getting ahead of it and calculating it out so that you know whether you're on target or not, to minimize that rebate that goes back to the IRS.
So this is,
So there's no penalty. That's what they're trying to figure out.
Yes.
well, who gets the penalty, us or them?
IRS
IRS?
would receive.
I mean, who would be penalized, us
We
or Ice
would-
Miller?
We would.
We would, not Ice Miller. We would be, They're advising to make sure we don't get penalized.
Right.
Or to lessen the penalty.
But, okay, why would we need a contract that says we're gonna do that? Why wouldn't we just do it?
The contract is to allow Ice Miller to do it 2 years from now. It's specifically to retain Ice Miller to do that work.
Yeah, it's asking Ice Miller to perform that review to make sure that we're not, either not in penalty, in jeopardy of penalty, or to lessen the penalty. I know what you're asking, why would we pay somebody estimated $2,500 to $3,500 to do that? I would argue that's their specialty, that's what they do, it's not what we do, and that $2,500, the penalty would be much greater than the $2,500 if we weren't calculated correctly.
And we have to do the analysis.
And we have to do it regardless anyway. So I would argue if we don't do it in 2, we're gonna turn right around, and I'm gonna be recommending Ice Miller performs it in 5. And then there's probably, if we were not doing it correctly, now we're at year 5, we probably don't have enough time to make adjustments in the spending to adjust that penalty, if there was one.
Any more questions, comments?
I do have one more. Would there, sorry, would there be anybody else that does this other than Ice Miller?
I will say, based on some limited research that I've been doing back here after reviewing that when I looked into bond arbitrage, Amy Corsaro's name was in the top 5 results of Google. So she appears to be a leader in the industry. I don't know other than that.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Kevin? Second?
I'll second.
Andy? Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Item 10, please.
Item 10, approval for the school year 26-27, agreement with KLIC for cafeteria food and sanitation services bid process. This allows us to stay in conjunction with or join with the leading food service cooperative in the state of Indiana. It also allows us for opportunities for better pricing and better quality of products as well.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Terry? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Adam? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 11, please.
Item 11, approval of food employee health policy. This is state mandated, and it's something that the district obviously has done and will continue to do to ensure safety for our cafeteria employees.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Kevin? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Terry? Discussion? And our cafeteria's got a perfect score this last time.
It does, yeah. Thanks for remembering that. I apologize, I should have.
Anything else? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 12, please.
Item 12, approval of the Borden-Henryville School tag application. I could go as long as you wanted to this evening with this thing called tag. Just to remind the board, this is a change from state legislators. The tag grant is nothing new. It's been around for quite some time. They did change the rules and regs of how that tag grant is dispersed. There are 290 school districts in the state of Indiana, and I don't know that any two are doing exactly the same. I definitely, just for the record in public, this has been a really frustrating process, just from an administrative standpoint, but also for the teachers as well. They've definitely made it much more difficult, not only for teachers to obtain that tag funding, it has also limited the number of teachers that even have a shot at getting that tag funding. I can't thank enough Teachers Association, we've discussed it a number of times with them. I have with them through discussion. Also can't thank enough Ms. Hurst for her help. What I'm presenting that was in your packet that I'm presenting to the board, no offense to Ms. Hurst or anyone else, it is nowhere near perfect nor ideal. I think it's the best, most fair way we could come up with. We did set some guidelines to where we wanted it to be at least as accessible for all of our teachers as possible. If you aren't really careful, you can automatically eliminate certain teachers based on what they teach, what grade level they teach, what core content area they teach from even having the opportunity to apply for this. I think this has allowed for as many that wish to apply that can apply for it. We did decide as a district, or I decided to bring forth to you, the state said we could do up to 3 different tiers at 3 different price levels. I thought it was more fair. We could have more people have the opportunity to at least receive something if we just kept it at tier 1, which was by state mandated $3,500 for that stipend. It is based on if the board approves. It will be an online application process. Those candidates would then go to a committee of myself and Ms. Hurst and some administrators to make the final selection if there were an overabundance of applicants to do that. You had to have worked for Borden-Henryville School Corporation's last school year and received a highly effective rating to even begin the process of applying. Through that process, you do have to show such things as the work that you're doing is absolutely showing student growth, academic growth, and provide artifacts and evidence to that point. And that's going to be, just to be quite transparent, that's going to be easier for some than others to do that, just to be quite honest with you. Again, board, I wish I could say this was an absolutely perfect, and we love every part of what we put in front of the board to review and approve. If the board does approve, I have to have the board approved policy and the list of candidates we are recommending. And I also need to point out as well, even though I would end up sending a list to the state of recommended candidates that we feel meet the rubric that is part of the packet, the state could still deny those applicants if the funding wasn't there. If they chose that they didn't like it, they could still do that. I hope they would not, and would encourage them not to, but that is within their privy to do that if they wish to. And that has to be in by the end of January of 26.
They could deny all applicants?
Theoretically, Andy, yes, they could. Theoretically, they could.
And
Samantha, have you seen anything? That's my reading of it and understanding.
Yeah, they could not like our plan, they could not like who we recommend, they kind of have the final say here. And if the funding isn't there, or the funding runs out before we get to our top 20%, then we'll have to reduce that.
Yeah, and just thank you for mentioning that, Samantha. And just a reminder, the top 20, per state legislation, only 20% of a corporation's teachers can be recommended to the state to receive the tag reimbursement. For us, Samantha, I believe that's 18.
Mm-hmm.
The max number, we could submit 18 candidates.
I got a question and a couple comments is that, I forgot when I was studying this earlier, but is this the early bird gets the worm, or are these grants all approved at the same time? Like, is there a time period where?
I've not seen, I understand what you're asking. Only thing I've read, Samantha, maybe you've seen something different. I've seen no indication of that they're going to be reading, accepting applicants as they come in if they're early. All I've seen is the deadline of this date. We were given, and I do not have that number right at the top of my head currently. Each corporation, you had to say you wanted to participate in the tag grant. There are a handful of corporations, and I don't feel like I can remember correctly to say who those are. I know there were some corporations that chose not to participate in the tag grant. For lots of different reasons, if you want to know my opinion why I thought that was not a good idea, I did say we were going to participate in that. So then, once we sent that in, and they had this pool of money with those that they knew were going to dip out of that pool of money, they then said, okay, each district is allocated X amount for the tag. Okay? depending, including my math. I question a little bit, Terry, that the number the state said is gonna be available for the tag ground. I'm not confident that
It didn't
it's
sound like a whole
I don't
lot.
feel like that's an accurate number, that if every district sent their max
That's why I
number,
ran out of money.
according to my math and a number of other superintendents and other actuarialist math, that there is not enough money in that pot to pay everyone.
The two other corporations I had talked to said that they were doing the same thing, capping it at the tier 1, which might help, because
Yeah.
that tier 3 is twice that, so.
Yeah.
So that could help a lot. But really, I think the pathway you've set up here is really a really fair pathway that allows every teacher in the district to
Yeah,
find a way.
and I would be remiss that a lion's share of that credit goes to Ms. Hurst and her work on that, so did a really nice job. And again, I'll keep the board updated at the next board meeting, the number of applicants we had, the number we're actually sending up.
The floor is open for the motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Kevin, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Terry, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you all for attending.